Halo, selamat pagi. Apa kabar kalian? Nama saya Serena and I am your MC for today. Selamat datang dan terima kasih karena meluangkan waktu untuk menghadiri acara Gain Connex Indonesia. I hope I'm saying everything right in Bahasa Indonesia. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Ryan Chan from Global Growth Acceleration of Malaysia Digital Economic Corporation for an opening remark. Ryan, please.
Hi, good morning. That was very good Indonesian. I will not attempt that. But very good morning to everyone for joining us here today, especially to our distinguished speakers and panelists, and also our participants from both in Malaysia and Indonesia. Particularly, I would like to highlight our key partners like Martrade, Malaysia Chambers Jakarta, JCI, and IDC, who are all joining us here today on this webinar. So just now, we were hearing all those old tunes that Hafiz was playing. So that kind of reminded me of this old song from the 60s by this little-known singer by the name of Bob Dylan. He once sang this song, "Times They Are Changing." And change has definitely been something that's been very apparent for us this year in more ways than one, actually. And certainly, when we imagine 2020, it's I'm going to say it's very different from what we're experiencing in reality today. But regardless of that, as a community, as a society, we continue to adapt to change, and as a business community, we've adapted to these changes. All right, seeing how our businesses have transitioned and gone online and continue to operate as much as possible. And we're seeing that international trade and commerce continues to be very important to ensure the global economy continues to grow. And it's also very key to protect livelihoods and to ensure that businesses are sustained. Yeah. So I'm happy to say that today we have registered about 40 Malaysian companies and 27 Indonesian companies coming together to explore collaborations and partnerships. And this demonstrates that Indonesia, being one of the first markets that we explored as MDAC, it continues to be a very key ecosystem partner for us, not just for us in MDAC, but also our companies in Malaysia as well. And so that's why we're very excited to be able to host this mini forum online today. Despite all the difficulties and the challenges we have to go through to manage all these things virtually, but we managed to pull it off, and that's I'd like to thank the team for coming together and pulling this off. Right. So with that, I would once again thank you for signing up and participating with us here today online. And if you have participated in our past editions of Gain Connex, it's great to have you back. If this is your first time around experiencing this, welcome on board, and let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and how we fix it. Yeah. So thank you again and welcome. Serena.
Thank you, Ryan. Next, I would like to invite Pak Harman Ahmad from Trade Commissioner Representative of Martrade for a welcome remark. Silakan, Pak Harman.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning, everybody. First of all, I would like to thank MDAC for inviting me to this auspicious program today. First of all, thank you, Mr. Gopi from MDAC. Our distinguished speakers, which we have Mevira Muniandra, Pak Danny Leong, Mr. Chan, and Mr. Nick Muhammad. So everything, I hope that everybody will be in good health. First of all, I would like to welcome to Indonesian market, one of the most exciting market in Southeast Asia. As you can see that Indonesia seems to be one of the very important market for Malaysia. For last year alone, I think if we are talking about physical trade, we have about 16.8 billion USD being transacted between Malaysia and Indonesia. And from our point of view, Indonesia being one of the most important market because they are the 9th largest trading partner for us, 11th largest export destination for us, and our 8th largest import source. And you can see that Indonesia have a very strong growth for the past few years, but it seems, I think, because of the current situation, it's being heavily affected like us in Malaysia as well. And for the first quarter 2020, that the growth for Indonesia only able to register around 2.97% and expected to be at a very low growth for the end of the year. I think everybody is affected with that. And Indonesia seems to be one of the interesting market in terms of providing us with a huge consumer market, because they are being one of the fourth largest, most populous country in the world, largest in ASEAN. I think they have about 200 million population all over, and mostly middle income class and young consumer. I think about by 2050, 30% of the young consumers are being supplied by Indonesia. And they are growing in a tremendous manner, as I mentioned earlier. But there's a setback within that opportunities, because it's highly diversified, and it's an islanders country. So it's being segregated by island to island. And as you all aware that talking about ICT opportunities, 70% of the 260 million population are 39 years old and below, which is very active in terms of ICT related businesses. And from that, I can segregate into few categories talking about opportunities. We have opportunities in cybersecurity, as you all aware that the recent news that we heard about the data from Tokopedia is being, what we call that, hacked and being sold to public, as well as e-commerce, because of the current scenario that everybody are avoiding to have a physical presence, going to market and so on. They are heavily relying on e-commerce, so it's being growing in a tremendous manner. As expected, by 2020 this year, they're expecting about 130 billion dollar being transacted in Indonesia, as well as fintech, because Indonesia alone, I think they have about more than 100 local fintech, and it's valued around USD 32.3 billion in 2020. And I think government plays a very important role. They are trying to solve all the outstanding issues in terms of investment, especially in ICT. So we'll be expecting what we call that, a very flexible investment condition in the near future. Other than that, big data is one of the things that being focused, and I believe with the presence of multinational, it's opened up new more market opportunities for our mission company as well. And other than that, the last one is about gaming industries and animation, because they have a huge talent workforce. And for our animation industries, Upin and Ipin, what do you call that, Agent Ali, Omar and Hana, it's very popular figure in Indonesia. And you can see in reality, there's a lot of products are collaborating with this animation, what do you call that, figure to penetrate Indonesian market. And other than that, we have similar culture and interest. And I hope with the what do you call that, the interest for Malaysia and assistance for MDEC, Madrid and so on, we're able to spearhead our penetration to Indonesian market, as well as bringing a lot of benefit to our local industries. I think with that, I'll end my welcoming remark. Thank you very much. And I hope all of you will be having a very fruitful meeting after this. And if you need anything from us, kindly let us know, especially Martin, because we have presence here. Thank you, and a very good day to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you for sharing, Pak Haman. I'm sure the participants found it very helpful today. Next, I would like to invite Ms. Mavira Munindra, Head of Operations Indonesia of IDC, International Data Corporation, to share their findings on Indonesia Futurescape 2020. Over to you, Mavira.
Thank you, Serena. Okay, good morning, everyone. I hope you are all safe, healthy at the moment. I know this is a challenging time for us. So today I will share a bit more about the ICT trends in Indonesia, also market opportunities as well, especially in the next normal. Of course, with these challenging times, I would say that everyone has a lot of questions what's going to be happening as well in Indonesia, besides the future trends that is happening in the market as well. So if we're looking at the trends right now in Indonesia, for sure, we are expecting there will be a lot of changes, especially in how enterprises, organizations in Indonesia are planning the digital transformation, and I think it will also impact on how they actually invest in IT products, IT services, IT solutions for both from the Malaysian or Indonesian tech vendors as well in the market. So if we're looking at the how it's happening, well, if I take some times back, maybe 2 years back, we have seen a lot of like innovations as well coming from the enterprises. A lot of the ways from enterprises in providing services to the consumers in Indonesia. For example, like the news application from Bank BCPN, and also some chatbots provided by like from their e-banks and other banks, and also some retail companies. And we are seeing that is actually more on the how they plan their transformation as well, right? And right now we are expecting there will be more acceleration as well, especially if I think everyone, of course, agree, right? Especially for the IT enterprises here, from the tech buyers perspective, that there is an acceleration as well coming from the IT enterprises, from the enterprises perspective in how they transform their organizations as well because of the situation. So we are expecting there will be more, a lot of recruitization as well at the moment. We have talked with a couple of organizations for the past 3 months, and we are seeing that they actually see these challenging times, the crisis, actually help them to accelerate and recover by embracing the technology as well. So I'm not saying that there is a benefit out of it, but I would say that there is an opportunity that actually can be explored as well during the challenging times. So a lot of organizations at the moment, they are replanning, they are recruitizing new technologies, innovation, in order to recover with current situation as well. So we are expecting there will be more innovation, transformation in how they actually spend in the technology coming years. And if you're looking at this graph, right, I think from the Indonesian and also Malaysian tech vendors right now, they have questions, right? So what is actually the opportunity at the moment with this current challenging times, current situation right now in 2020? So yeah, unfortunately, we have seen that there is a drop of IT spending in total in Indonesia, where it's heavily impacted from the hardware spending, especially in consumer market. So we are seeing a lot of dropping in terms of the shipment for some hardware technologies such as like mobile phone and PC, notebook, and stuff for consumers, because there is a lot of dropping in terms of their supply chains, and there is a lot of dropping from the demands as well. However, we have seen a lot of new interest as well from the enterprise IT spending, as it is maintaining at 0.8% year-on-year growth in 2020, where that is our forecast right now, with total is $4.3 billion for the enterprise IT spending. And about this situation, right? So we are seeing a lot of, despite the fact that the crisis is impacting and challenge organizations to spend more IT, there is a new investment that is actually coming in to help them recover. So if you're looking at how the organizations right now construct, and I will also share a bit more in how IDC see the stages of recovery later. A lot of organizations right now trying to help the business, the management to recover first right now, for how to actually build the operation first, how to actually to stay on the roll by having more technology out of it, right? So the ideas of work from home, the ideas of how to actually leverage on this business resiliency, it will create more spending on the other services. So we are seeing a lot of enterprise IT spending here is actually driven by services components and software components. So we are expecting like cloud services and then security services for sure. And some of the business applications is actually increasing of the demands, and it will be a lot of new things as well as we are moving on the next normal in coming months or coming years for sure. And this is coming from our survey as well. So we are we have been doing a lot of survey for the past 3 months, every month. So we are doing an end user survey where we are asking as well about how is going to be their, like more prioritization as well coming into the next normal. So after this, we are seeing that this crisis, this challenging times is actually going to be the wake-up call as well for Indonesian enterprises. So that's why we are seeing that where there is a crisis, there is an opportunity as well to explore for tech vendors as well, and or even for the tech buyers as well who's coming to this event as well, right? So a couple of new ideas that we are expecting to see as well after this is there are top three right now that we are capturing from our survey. One is about the data analytics. So the case of the data analytics is that enterprises during these challenging times, they need to be more resilient, they need to be agile, they need to be adaptable. And at the same time, in terms of the infrastructure, they are understand that they are not very much equipped with the infrastructure on the data, right? So right now they are becoming more aware and urgent in leveraging data for business decision making, right? So because right now with everything is on virtual, remote, and online basis, they are thinking in how to actually leverage the data that they have to create more business decision making independently. Because right now, during these challenging times, hard times, they need to be able to, become more independent in how to drive the business as well. So a lot of this data analytics from our conversations with our tech buyers for the past 3 months, there are some industries that we are expecting to leverage this in coming years or even in coming months in the spending of the IT. We have the BFSI for sure and supply chain industries that are actually trying to revamp their data analytics program as well. Another one is about the digital enabled operation. So with understanding the current situation right now in Indonesia, maybe we are looking at for the past years, a lot of the business operation is still, like siloed. There is no coordinated, there is no collaborated as well. So with this coming that everyone has to be, especially during this COVID-19 crisis, everything has to be contactless, right? So organizations right now are thinking, are planning how to build the digitally enabled operations, especially those in the industrial sectors like manufacturing, retail, distribution, logistics. Because what they need right now is how to keep on going without to have very much a contactful engagement, whether it's going to be from the consumers or their employees, for example. So right now they're planning to have more digitally enabled operations and how to connect, how to collaborate within the organization or even outside of the organization. So cloud-based solutions, something that we are expecting to see more, or even automation solutions. So it will also relate with the IoT solution for the long haul, but we will see that in the short term there will be more of the adoption and there will be more investment in the cloud-based solution as well. And then there will be another one is about the customer engagement, especially if you're looking at how these Indonesia's business right now, they are more focusing on offline transactions. We are expecting there will be more online development on platforms that is being invested to this organization and how to engage with the customers, right? So whatever is happening right now in Indonesia or even in the world, and specifically Indonesia, they have a lot of changes in the mindset and how to still, still not only from survive, but they still can be more resilient in how to adapt with the current situation. So we are expecting there will be more enterprises will speed up their digital-based platform to accommodate the new approach in customer experience. So that being said, there will be a lot of new investment that we are expecting to see coming in coming years, such as like mobile application platforms and customer relationship platform that includes some chatbots and those social commerce platforms to engage with the customers in a different way. And what is happening actually for the past 3 months with this, especially in Indonesia, we are a bit late, right? I mean, if we are comparing to Malaysia or even other Asia Pacific countries, Indonesia is a bit, I would say it's a bit late in how we respond to the COVID-19 outbreak this year, right? So what we are seeing right now is actually also going to change the way they adapt the technology as well, especially what we are seeing as well during the crisis. So based on our survey as well, a lot of changes are going to happening in terms of their business management that will be permanently changed as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. So the top three that we are expecting to see is going to be the work from home policy. So I believe before this crisis, there is a lack or even there is a limited policy that is being provided by the organizations when it comes to work from home. So Indonesian enterprises are not used to with the work from home policy. But because of this situation, we are expecting there will be more work from home policy that will be expanded to the HR policy. And then another one is about the operating model. So I think I also mentioned that one as well before about the contactless solution. There will be more automation. I think it's going to be also interesting to see how these enterprises build this contactless solution to create more productivity, automation as well during the business operation. And then one is about the business models that they will need to not only include in one ecosystem, but also they will also expand to another ecosystem as well. So I think there will be a lot of changes as well in how they adopt technology, how they engage with the customers and also the partners as well. And of course, the tech partnership will be also going to be important as well at the end of the day to help them drive this new business model as well in their organization. And in IDC, we also asked about what's next to invest in 2020 and beyond. So in IDC, we have this, not the diagram, but more in the programs that we are expecting to see more in how, so the organization is able to become the future enterprise, right? So based on this, based on current situation, we are seeing a lot of changes, especially from Indonesians and in Asia Pacific as well in how they drive new programs. So if you're looking at these top three, right? So we have customer experience program, we have digital infrastructure resiliency programs and digital trust programs. So I would say maybe customer experience programs is always being prioritized by Indonesian enterprises. But with this situation, with this crisis, with these challenging times, a lot of organizations right now rethink and replan in how they will build the programs in the next because of the situation, right? So digital infrastructure resiliency is very, very much on point here because organizations right now have to think how to create more resiliency as well in their organizations. So it includes also from the IT infrastructure wise. So a lot of this is going to be more how they leverage the cloud-based infrastructure so they can be more adaptable with the CapEx to OpEx-based model as well. Another one is probably going to be digital trust programs. So if you're aware in Indonesia, the understanding, the knowledge about trust or security is very much limited. So we are expecting there will be more investment coming on the security infrastructure and also security education as well coming up in order to create more resiliency as well as part of their business programs as well. So this is how we see from IDC perspective the stages of the crisis, the stages of recovery for enterprises. So if you're looking at this curve, right? So everyone, when it comes to crisis, everyone every company will think how to be able to continue their business, right? So they will need to have the crisis management. So this is going to be related with how they have the work from home policy. Next one, there will be more about the ROI focus. There will be a lot of cost optimization. Next, another one is going to be after that operational resiliency, how they can come up with the resilience business as well in terms of investment. Also, a lot of Indonesian enterprises right now are still focusing on the top three stages at the moment. So how they actually still try to leverage more continuity as well. And then number one, how to optimize their costs and how to build the operational resiliency. So even though we have a couple of organizations that have already accelerated change in how they recover from the crisis, and those companies are actually the ones who actually have already enabled digitally. So there are some discrepancy as well that we are seeing coming from the enterprises. So we're hopefully with this for the past 3 months, and we are seeing a lot of organizations are able to manage their crisis management. They are started to build their business resiliency. In the next couple months or even couple years, they will be able to accelerate their investment and have a more targeted investment in innovation. So, and this is a couple of technology investment that we are expecting to see as well for each stages. So just like I mentioned before, in the crisis management, everyone is going to think about the work from home situation, how to actually build more, maybe not build, but more continue the business. And then next one is going to be about on cost optimization. That's why the business model of CapEx to OpEx based models will be seen a lot more in this. That's why cloud-based process and also infrastructure will be more invested. And then next one is about the operational resiliency, where how they have to build more collaboration to make it more permanent in facing the next normal. And the last two stages is going to be more on how they become the future enterprise. We are going to expect to see how they use the data for decision making, and they will use artificial intelligence as well as part of the business process. So this is my slide. Hopefully I'm not running out of time. Okay, I need to a bit more speed up on this. So what we are seeing right now, when it comes to what's happening in Indonesia, we are seeing that crisis is temporary, crisis is permanent, right? So right now, what is going to be needed by the organization, I think, across the world, especially Indonesia, is how to help them to get back on their feet, right? That's why a lot of these times, what is going to be important for tech buyers and also tech vendors who is coming to this event is how to build the empathy as well, because it's going to be an important trait in building the partnership. So this is the right time for everyone here to build more trust or to plan the trust as well to your consumers or your customers. And then what is going to happen for the tech vendors here is going to be more about the tech partners to become the business partners, because this is where you can grow together, you can solve the problem together, and it's going to be very important as well in the future. Last but not least is about the agility and resilience. Because of this crisis, we believe that these two factors are very much a business DNA that should be planted for tech buyers and also tech vendors. How to build the agility, how to build the resiliency, and how to be able to adapt to any times, right? In any situations, whether it's going to be in good times, hard times, going to be very much on these two factors that we are seeing. So I think that's all my presentation. We will have another sessions later in the breakout session for selected registered companies. But please feel free to have questions in the chat box, in the Q&A box. And if you have more questions, you can also email me as well here. And yeah, thank you, and have a good day. Have a good session today. Over to you, Zarina.
Thank you, Mavira. We have a panel session coming up next, a sharing from GAIN companies on their successful venture in Indonesia. I would like to invite the first panelist, Pak Chen Chow, co-founder of Faith, a digital merchant platform that raised 20 million for their Series B last year. Hi, Chen Chow.
Good morning, everyone.
We also have Pak Nik Muhammad Amin, founder and CEO of Movely, a peer-to-peer car sharing platform. And also, hi, and also Pak Danny, Group CEO of GHL System, a leading payment service provider in Malaysia and also regionally. I will hand over the discussion to Ryan, our moderator for this session.
Right, thank you. So just a quick reminder to all our participants, there is a Q&A panel at the bottom of the screen. So if you've got any questions, feel free to type in your questions in the Q&A panel, and we'll try to address this during our Q&A session later after this. Yeah. All right. Once again, thank you to all our panelists today. We've got a really high-powered panel. All three of them are very successful, obviously. And if I can do this, can we just have a very quick lightning round of a 1-minute introduction of each of you, of yourself and your company? Starting with Danny, since I'm looking at your face right now.
Hi, everyone. Hope you can hear me. Can you hear me, Ryan?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, okay. I'm Danny Leong, Group CEO of GHL Systems Berhad. We are primarily a payments player in the ASEAN space. very strong in Malaysia, Thailand, and Philippines, and starting up in Indonesia and Cambodia now. So basically, we are in our industry term, we call payment acquirers, where we enable merchants to accept all types of payment, whether it's credit card, debit card, online payment, or QR codes, etc. Thanks, Ryan. Over to you.
Thanks. Thanks. Nick?
Hi, my name is Nick. I'm the founder and CEO of MoveBee. So basically, MoveBee is the peer-to-peer car sharing platform, or the Airbnb for cars. We are connecting the private car individuals with the people who are looking to rent a car. Yeah, currently we are running the operation in Malaysia and Indonesia, and looking to strengthening the position in this country, but at the same time looking to expand to other neighbor countries as well.
And last but not least, Chen Chao.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Ryan. Morning, everyone. Yeah, I'm Chen Chao. Just call me CC from Faith. So Faith is a merchant digital platform. So I think what we do is we help local offline businesses to digitize. So I think offline businesses include restaurants, offline retailers, beauty wellness, services, attractions, hotels, etc. So I think basically digitize to help them to make things easier, cheaper, better, faster. So whether in the acquiring customer retention, cross-sell, upsell, analytics, rating reviews, operation financing, etc. So I think basically it's enable the offline businesses, the SMEs, to be able to do what the giants can be able to do.
Right. Yeah. So easier, faster, and cheaper. I think that's the three magic words, right? So thank you. How we'll do this is that we've got about 3 questions here. So what I'll do is that I'll pose this question to all of you, and then we can go through, take turns to answer those questions. Yeah. All right, so the first one we have is, obviously, given the size and penetration of your companies, you have a very solid grasp of the Malaysian market, right? And you've also, all 3 of you have already a very significant market share in Indonesia as well. Could you share with all of us here today, what was your growth strategy in expanding into Indonesia, and how have you adapted the strategy in the current pandemic situation? If we can start with CC.
Yeah. So I think for us, we went into Indonesia in 2016. So when we acquired Groupon Indonesia, so it was through M&A, and then we went in and we took the business. So that time we were still running KFit, which is a fitness sharing platform. And as we expand into the multi sectors, so we went in there. So I think how we go about to do it, I would say that is, I think, through acquisition, and hence we sort of have the merchant and consumer base. Because in a way, marketplace, I think it's a two-sided. So we basically need a consumer and merchants to interact, right? So I think that's sort of the going in positions. And I think that as we did that as well in 2016 as well, we got investors as well. So I think one of the investors at the time, Ventura, where Lipo is a limited partner. So I think that sort of was one of the direct connect into Indonesia. And then Axiata is our investor, which XL has a large presence in Indonesia. So I think that's another aspect of it. And I think as we built over the years as well, I think for Indonesia as well, is working with several partners to build, right, in various aspects. So I think, let's say in terms of payment acceptance, we work with Adyen, which had worked with CIMB Niaga there, and then as well as in terms of payment acceptance, Midtrans, which is owned by Gojek, and also OVO, right? So which is basically Grab and Tokopedia and people, right? So I think basically connect through several aspects to tie into the local needs. So I think the other one is, I think in terms of as we get the deals in Indonesia, how do we get it promoted out? So I think we work with Tokopedia, OVO, Akulaku, and a bunch of others. So basically get it to spread through. Yeah, so I think that's sort of how we look. I think in terms of COVID, I think that we are cautious for watching how the situation is over there. I think Indonesia today, people are out in the street, but I think there's the middle class and middle upper class. A lot of them are still worried because the cases are still pretty high. So I think for us is optimizing and working through the team to see how we can recover fast and help our merchants to recover through. Thanks.
Danny, if you have.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Basically, to us, I mean, we are strong in Malaysia and we've done the online side and the offline side of payments, right? And we look at Indonesia back in 2016, what Chen Chao said that we started in 2016. And Indonesia is huge. I mean, it's really, really big. And it's basically the elephant in the room that in ASEAN that nobody can and should avoid. The question is how? How you get into this, big lucrative market, so to speak, right? So we went on a strategy that we are not going to do what we do in the other three countries like Malaysia, Thailand, Philippines, whereby we do most things ourselves. You know, having a big team. In Malaysia, we have 600 people. I think 600 people, it won't be enough even in Indonesia. I probably need 60,000 or something like that. So how do you scale 60,000? It's almost difficult, right? So we decided to always change our strategy a bit for Indonesia, given their geography, their population, and have small teams in Indonesia. So in 2016, we started our online business, online payment gateway, whereby bulk of the team, we actually had 2 staff in Indonesia only, mainly doing sales. Bulk of technology and all the it's online, so you can actually do it quite remotely, and the remotely part is actually done in Malaysia, right? So that's how we went in 2016. Well, it was good for online, but then we started in 2019. We decided, how do we go into the offline, the physical merchant stores, right? Because that I can't do the online way that I just send some people, see people, but everything's on there. There's some leg to be done. There's like what Chen Chao said, you need to have people walking the streets to actually look for merchants and partners, right? So we still stay core to our strategy of keeping a small team. Now we've got probably about 8 or 9 people to do. Imagine we have 8 or 9 people to do an offline business in Indonesia. That's our strategy. And the idea is basically to work with partners, all right? Work with partners in terms of and local partners, so that they can cover different areas, different segments, etc. And the core to it is actually to share so-called risk, but more importantly, to share revenue with them. These partners are basically not partners that I will pay them for certain acquisition fee, but basically to really share, in our terms, MDR revenue with them, right? And so that there'll be a bit more bite in the game for the partner, rather than I just do this for you and then bye-bye and move on. So a more sustainable proposition together with them. So that's where we started with 2 parts. Finally, we put everything together for our offline business, and we started looking for merchant just before the lockdown. And we started with 2 partners, and we are signing up another 3 partners after lockdown. So our strategy is that. And the other part of the strategy that we have always gone into is basically having local people running the show. There's no way you're going to have me, as much as I like Indonesia, to be able to do any significant difference to run a show in Indonesia. So same with all our countries, we actually use locals to run the show. I think that's an important part of it. And with COVID-19, knowing things like this is actually more prevalent to have locals running it. Imagine your CEO, your top guys are from Malaysia and they have to lock down and to come back to Malaysia and don't know when they can go back. So we are very glad that we stuck to our strategy of going local. Yeah, right. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, Danny. Nick? Sorry, you're on mute.
So for Mobi, I think we are quite different as compared to the our friends from Faith and JSL. They are a huge company. We did approach go-to-market strategy with very much a startup way and lean way. I remember we did the market validation when I was in Batam, Indonesia. I participated in the E27 Academy, if I'm not mistaken. And we are looking to rent a car to go to the city for sightseeing and explore the city. And at the time, it was very hard for us to find a car rental available in that area because it's quite distant from the city. And if you need to basically get a car, we need to wait for another 1 hour for the car to be delivered from city to our location. And of course, there are some fees incur. So we are thinking what we can do to basically rent a car from the people nearby. And I did approach one of the people in that resort where we stay. And they say, okay, I can lend my car for 5 hours, and then you can pay me like 300,000 rupiah. So this is the market validation where I see things that work in Malaysia actually work also in Indonesia. And I think after that, the week after we joined the Expand Indonesia program from MDEC, and we did explore and understand the culture and understand the people, understand the pain problem of mass majority people in Jakarta at the time. And the market strategy is that to connect the private car owner with people who are looking to rent a car. So I think like other company as well, we do a partnership with a big company. To name a few, we are working with Traveloka in Indonesia, Clue and Ticket.com among the others. So the rollout strategy, a go-to-market strategy for us is actually to do partnership, because we don't have much capital, dollar and cent, to do a marketing to penetrate the market. So I believe by doing the partnership, a strategic partnership with the big player can help us to go to the market even more faster. And now our revenue is actually coming, 70% of the revenue coming from Indonesia. Yeah. Hello. Yeah. That's pretty much. I think like other company has mentioned, that we need to have the local partner who can we trust, because it's not impossible. It's like very impossible for us to run the business in Indonesia while we are here in Malaysia, right? So finding the right partner that we can trust is the key. It's the main keys actually of our success, especially in success in the country. Yeah.
Thank you. So you know, you spoke about partners. We spoke about localization, having locals to run the show, right? So this nicely, you know, moves into the second question that I have, is that all three of you were using a lot of partners for your go-to-market and even for your channels as well. In terms of, and Nick touched on this a bit, in terms of your selection of you know, what kind of partners do you want to go with? Do you have any criteria or methodology that you use to select a go-to-market partner or a channel partner that you want to go with? Perhaps Nick, you can expand on this further, because I think you were sharing a bit on this as well.
Yep, sure. In general, the criteria that we are looking for is the company must have quite a big number of volume that we can tap on, and at the same time they have the loophole, or they have some pain problem that they cannot solve. So what we did is actually we understand the pain point of this big company. We spend like hours talking to them, chatting, to really dig down from the top management to working level people, where I did approach people from LinkedIn who are working in Traveloka, in Cloak, to really understand the problem. So the criteria is actually, like I mentioned, I'm looking for a company that can actually give us the, how to say, a jackpot lah. Easy way to say that, because we are a small company, and it's quite impossible for us to spend so much money on the market acquisitions, go through marketing. So I believe that is one of the main criteria that I'm looking at the time, and Alhamdulillah we managed to prove and make the things work. Yeah.
Thank you. CC, do you have any insights on this?
Yeah, so I think I don't think we have a perfect methodology on it, but I think a lot of time when we work with any partners, I think whether in Asia or elsewhere, I think we start from the target audience. So which means that to us, the merchants and the consumers. So I think in the end is thinking of what we want to achieve for merchant consumers. And as we build on any budget, we use the framework of 4-win, which means that merchant, consumer, and both the partners need to win, right? So basically, because if not everyone win, this will not be sustainable. After a short while, one of the parties, two of the parties will decide that this is not going to work. So I think we always, let's say when we discuss a partner, we don't start from what we want, what you want, right? we start from merchant consumer. What are the problem pain point that each one to solve for the target audience? Sometimes the merchant and consumer is the same. Merchant and consumer, the problem try to solve is similar. Sometimes the problem try to solve is slightly different. But I think you start from there, right? And I think what each parties want to achieve, and because let's say for Indonesia, I think similar is what Danny mentioned. I think we run it in a much more linear way as well, versus I think what we have done in Malaysia and Singapore. Like today, like Malaysia, Singapore, with FavePay is one of the core components. Indonesia, we actually soft launched it end of February, and COVID hit. Basically, we couldn't really scale it up, bro. So and at the time when we even want to launch it in end of February, we were thinking, like, hey, let's get something to test, and in the end, we didn't even really get to test, right? So I think it's picking the battles what you can, right? And I think for us, Indonesia, I think what Danny mentioned is like way bigger, and today we definitely don't have whether the capital, capability, and everything to go win that. And I think one of the things that I think today, all the rest of the team are all Indonesian. Country head currently, unfortunately, is me, and I'm stuck in Malaysia. So I was there every week for 6 months, and then until a few days before COVID lockdown, and then I was here, and I haven't got a chance to go back in, although we do daily calls in, right? So I think is finding the right partners and synergy, because I think in the end, and I think one thing as we do a partnership as well is that how do we get it through fast? So I think a lot of times different. So especially when we work with big companies, I think a lot of times it sounds cool, ideal, and everything. But I think a lot of times is that at a smaller company, we may not have the resources to work through a 1-year process to get through a collaboration. So I think a lot of time is think big, start small, and test through, right? And if it works, to do more. Because I think there's almost no point to really invest a whole lot of time on that to plan, carve out. Because a lot of time we won't know. And I think a lot of partnership actually doesn't make meaningful impact, right? It just sort of sounds cool, but then I think you don't really affect anything. So I think it's pick and battle, because anything that we put effort to do, it also means that something else we couldn't put effort to do.
Thank you. And Danny?
Yeah, can resonate with Chen Chao on a lot of those points. Basically, for us, looking at partner, we actually 2 sets of partners. One is basically what our payment schemes partners. This is a bank or an e-wallet player, right? That is technically usually easier to choose because they tend to be bigger than us. But we do shy away from those that are, especially the new e-wallet startup that are not that sustainable in our view. No offense to them, because our commitment is to the merchant, and if the e-wallet guys cannot sustain to settle money with us, we'll run at a loss to settle with our merchant, right? So, but that is generally easier to suss out. The harder part is basically like I mentioned just now, our strategy is work with partners on the ground to look for merchants, to support merchants, right? That is in a way harder to suss out. And like what Chen Chao said, we have methodology, we have selection criteria and all those things, but in reality is a lot, when you go to practice, a lot of things actually, yeah, I thought he said this and all, and then it just goes out of the window immediately, right? So the key is a few things, but I still resonate with some of it. Basically, we want partners that are naturally local, but only focus in local. If a partner tells me that I am in other 3 countries, unless you're really, really big, that doesn't mean that you play ball with us anyway. Local meaning Indonesian, right? Local could be I'm a Surabaya expert. That other level of local, right? They need to be that, right? And the other thing is basically we would also need them to focus and know our business a bit, right? Having said that, we are actually quite new, introducing new things in Indonesia. Traditionally, if you are a partner that look for merchants, or let's say the e-wallet, the GoPay of this word OVO, I can tell you, you got a lot of these partners, right? But they are paid by acquisition fees, not by revenue share, right? We meet them, and some of them couldn't understand our model. I mean, they can tell us is that I can get you 500,000 merchants in 6 months. You want it? I said, of course, everybody wants that. Next question is, how much are you going to pay me? So we don't go work on those models. So basically, when we made a lot of these partners, not many of them actually understand or want to, they in a way, no offense, they want a quick buck, so to speak, right? So what we end up with, choose those partners that actually understand our model, that what recurring revenue means in the long run, rather than a one time. And some of them will start it and then will fail. And then the key in terms of methodology is to be agile, as in to be daring to terminate them and move on and get another set in, right? Because it's a case of you really need to hit hit and run a bit, and then make sure your agreements are agile enough to call it a day with them, and you need to be brave enough to call it a day rather than dragging the relationship for 2-3 years and then it's no point, right? So to me, stay local, make sure they are focused in local, know a bit of the business is good enough, but ourselves need to be agile to tweak things fast for them.
Thanks, Danny. So it looks like it's about creating win-win relationships and hyper-localization to a certain extent. Yeah. So I think I've got one last question here, and if I may, perhaps we can just do this in one or two lines, right? What would be your advice or suggestions to the Malaysian business community and also to agencies like MDEC and Martrade in terms of how do we support each other as a community, and how can government agencies like MDEC and Martrade support the business community in terms of global growth in this current COVID-19 situation? In just maybe two lines, Danny?
I think what I would recommend people is basically traditionally MDEC and Martrade has the agencies to help, right? But I think our Malaysian community, at least for Indonesia, is bigger than that today, meaning people like us, right, established companies, use us to build, to introduce and stuff like this, right? I'm very nationalistic in terms of this. I think a lot of us do that. We will always introduce a Malaysian partner or whatever into any countries without thinking twice, right? So use my question, use us in addition to MDEC and Martrade, drop us a mail, and I think I say that for Chen Chao and Nick as well. So no more the shy and no more just relying on agencies, because no offense to them, but your network is bigger than that. Yeah, correct. So I urge you all to drop us a mail or where we can help, we help.
Nick?
Yep. For my side, I think what MDEC and other agency can do to help our local company to expand is to increase the business matching program between Malaysia and Indonesia, perhaps, because it's quite impossible for us to. It's quite hard for us to knock the doors and to say, hey, we have the solution, given that we are a small players in Malaysia. And I think with the business matching arranged by the agency, they have more trust that, hey, this company is coming from this agency. Okay, let's do some talks with them. And other part is actually perhaps small access to the capital to basically penetrate or do like a market access or like a market validation is very crucial. Whether we want to say, okay, this market is work for us, and if work, how? So I think initial capital is necessary to help the company to say, okay, I want to expand to Indonesia. I have the money, right?
CC?
Yeah, so I think resonate a lot. I think with what Danny mentioned about, I think reaching out across. So I think during my 6 months of every week flight to Jakarta, I would say more than 50% of the time I did bump into Malaysian entrepreneurs along the way, right? And we just spend a lot of time chatting on the flight or on the way to city, right? In Jakarta, the market and all those things, right? So I think and I think a lot of it is leverage. I think we all are building, but all of us go through the challenge, and I think the key is avoid the same mistakes, right? So I think that we all would have gone through, tried, doesn't work, because every culture is different as well. What will works in Malaysia will not exactly work in Indonesia, and vice versa, right? So I think it's really understanding, localizing, and really adapting to it. And I think that in terms of, let's say, how MDEC Madrid can support, I think a lot of it is, I think, maybe for entrepreneurs or aspiring entrepreneurs would be to share what you look for, because I think a lot of times if we don't know what we look for, it'll be very hard for MDEC Madrid to really directly help, right? So I think it's knowing what you look for, and I think there are many opportunities I think for companies, but I think it's pick the right ones that you want to go in, because there's just so much and you actually get swarmed across. And I think Indonesia try to be a big fish in a small pond rather than a small fish in a big pond. because the market is so big, right? So if you think that, because even Jakarta is like way big, right? So it could be just Jakarta Selatan or Tangerang or where, right? Something, and I think dominate that or be a significant market share and then cross, right? Because one thing you just spray across, that's almost impossible to gain the attractions in Asia.
Thank you. Okay, so maybe just to wrap up, Nick, in terms of what you suggested for access to capital, actually Martrade has got the Market Development Fund and its Services Exports Fund that you can consider accessing. So I think that's also to all the participants that sign up today. There is the MDG and SEF from Martrade, which you can consider. And of course, that's what we're also trying to do in terms of increasing the business matching opportunities as well, particularly right now where travel is restricted. So we're trying to move all this to online business matching as well. So we're running a series of this and supported by Martrade. And so lastly, I think I really like the suggestion from Danny as well, as in bringing the community together, getting the business community to support each other. And I think very important as well is that treat us as part of the community, give us the feedback, because we don't know everything and we will never know everything. So let's keep the channels open and let us know what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, and how we can improve and how we can do this together, right? As private and public partnership, so to speak, yeah. So I think that wraps up the panel that we have today, and I would like to pass the time now back to Serena. If you can just remain on screen, I think there's a Q&A session right now. Yeah, Serena.
Yeah. Thanks, Ryan. Thank you.
I think Gopi is on as well, so if you want to call him in.
So I'd like to invite Pak Harman, Ms. Mavira, and Gopi to come join us for this Q&A session.
Sure. First of all, I want to apologize. I couldn't make it from the beginning, but looking at the participants and looking at the kind of questions and the panel discussion that was going on, it's amazing. So thank you very much to all the panelists. Thank you very much, IDC. Thank you very much, Martrade, and thank you very much, Union Space, Google Believe. Thank you very much for bringing this together. And yeah, I'm ready for questions and answers if it has to be.
Yeah, I think we have one from Ashran Ghazi that is directed to Mavira. What's the time frame for the crisis recovery expectation?
Okay, thank you, Ashran, for the question. So when we are building these stages of recovery, right? So for enterprises, they will have a different timeline, I would say, because again, it's really depending on how the maturity of their current situation in terms of how they can recover. But when it comes to this, it's really more about how the organizations can be, determine which one is to be prioritized, and then what should be investing in the next one to be able to recover. So I would say there is no strict timeline on this for each enterprises. So if you are going to the customer, if you're going to the customers, I would suggest that you're having some assessment, have a conversation as well on how actually they have, what kind of challenges that they are actually having at the moment. And then you can provide some solutions and helping them to, to grow as they recover as well. Because from our experience, Bank A, Bank B, Manufacturing A, Manufacturing B, they have a different level of organization, they have a different structures, they have a different maturity in technology, and I think that will be very much impacting in how the timeline is going to be. So yeah, I think it's going to be more about how you actually assess, listen to their challenges right now, the pain points, before we decide on the timeline itself. So yeah, I think that will be my answers on that questions.
Thank you, Mavira. I just want to remind everyone that if you have more questions, you can type it at the Q&A section down below. We have another one. What is the best way to connect with partners in Indonesia with the current COVID pandemic? Maybe if Pak Harman can take on the question.
All right. Thank you, Serena. First of all, I would like to add up what Mavira mentioned just now, because from WHO, the pandemic in Indonesia is supposed to peak within June, but it seems that the indication now there's not much development at this point of time. Even like yesterday, I think the infection level is around 1,000 over. I think the death rate is around 30 to 40 consistent within a few weeks. But we hope that by the end of June, everything will be settled. And I hope that the infection level will be much reduced. But it seems that Jakarta is getting much stable at the moment. Only in what do you call it, Jawa Timur is still not progressing well. But other than that, if you are talking about a level of assistance, I think the best way is to connect with customers or your potential partner in Indonesia is through video call. I think that's the best option at this point of time, because movement is allowed, but I think there's a lot of restriction. I think there's a lot of a condition that you have to comply, even though some of our fellow Malaysian business owners are starting to travel back to Indonesia. But I think the duration and then the requirement is quite difficult to fulfill at this point of time. But that's the best way for us to communicate is through video. And for example, at this week, we are organizing a business matching session for the whole week. We call it ASEAN Virtual Business Matching Session. So it's ongoing for not only Indonesia, it's for the rest of ASEAN continent as well, Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, and so on. And we make it something that's normal for us to communicate through video call. But if you need any assistance, especially among the participant or other panelists, if you need any assistance from us, you can let us know. We can do the coordination from here. And I think the best option is through video conference. Thank you. I think that's about it.
Thank you for the offer, Pak Haman. We have another question from Li Ching. Said they noticed that although most of you work through partners, you will still set up office in the market. Does it have a lot of impact on the success in the market against not having the presence locally? So maybe one of the panelists can take this.
Let me just add in. Well, we actually use a co-location office, right? We started with one room, then now we have two rooms and stuff like this, right? We did it because actually more of convenience, because we didn't want to focus on to set up office to get the furniture, to maintain it. We hire administrator, we just didn't want to bother with that. So the people that we have are all just doing either sales or operations work. So we went in with that.
Okay.
Sorry,
Yeah,
maybe
we
I
also
can
use-
add a bit more. Okay. Sorry, no worries.
Sorry.
Let's Chao first, then we go with Mabry.
Sure.
Sorry, yeah. So I think similar to Danny, I think we also use co-working space. Actually, we even use co-working space in Malaysia as well. So all countries, all offices are all co-working space, because that gives us the flexibility going in and out. And I think for the non-sales people, we get a dedicated desk in co-working space. For even the sales people, it's just paper entry. So we just negotiate the rate and how many times we go in to that.
Thanks. Mabira?
Yeah, I think from Indonesian perspective, right? So we also did a couple of research in country when it comes to their preference in their tech partners as well. So for the enterprises right now, they have this growing mindset that they will need local presence as well, right? So it's either global or regional vendors that they are working with. One of the key considerations that when it comes to decision making, they will also look at their assessment whether they have a local presence as well, because I think it's going to be more impactful in terms of whether there is a problem, there is a challenge during their operations, right? They will need local support here to help them figure it out, because a lot of experiences that they have before, many of them are finding it hard to work with partners that they do not have local presence. So it's going to be, I would suggest, I mean, it will be very much considered as well by the Indonesian enterprises if to work with you, to the Malaysian companies here that have a local presence as well. Yeah, so it's not only from the offices part, but maybe from the if you're providing some services, there is a local engineers here that can help. Either you work with the partners for implement or services, but they will need the local presence from your company to help them along the process. So yeah, that's one of my one of our research as well that is actually related with the partnership.
Thank you, Mabira. I think we have time for one last question. I'm just going to combine some questions here. So there are So I think the question is which industry sectors technologies that will have the most growth in 2020 2021, as well as Mavira, maybe you can elaborate more on the big data and analytics landscape as presented in your deck earlier.
Okay, so is it the industry as well, Serena, that you asked?
Yes, the industrial sector must grow.
The sectors. Okay, for the industries that we are expecting to see, let's say, because right now it's very uncertain, right? We are, or even in Jakarta, we don't know whether there will be a second wave, or even we are finishing the first wave for these challenging times as well. So right now we are just looking at this right now. This situation is actually already changing. So we are expecting there will be more new behavior as well in the market. So let's say let's call it as a next normal, right? So in terms of, because of the situation, we are expecting to see a lot of transformation as well from a couple of industries for sure. BFSI, I think it's going to be very leveraging more on the analytic perspective on the technology. Another sectors that I also mentioned before is about the industrial sectors. Well, BFSI compared to the others, I would see that they are already mature enough in how they leverage technology, and one of it's also driven by the regulation as well, because they have to connect with the Central Bank of Indonesia. For industrial sectors, we are seeing that there is a wake-up call as well during the situation that they will have to revamp their technology enablement in organizations. And another one is going to be, well, there will be a lot of changes as well from the logistic and retail and distribution, because how they can connect with this connection. It's either from the partners or also consumers, and it will change the landscape in terms of how they use technology. And for the big data and analytic, right? So a lot of organizations in Indonesia, they don't really have strong data and analytic capabilities. So it's either from the infrastructure or even from the talent pool internally, right? So when any decision making that we are seeing, especially those who are not enabled by technology, they are really very much traditional. And if we're looking at the digitalization, the technology is going to be very important, because everything is going to be online, everything is going to be consolidated in platforms. But the problem is how do actually they can get the value out of it. So those are actually the gap that we are actually seeing in the market. It's either from the infrastructure, because again, if you're looking at from the analytic data and analytic infrastructure, there will be a lot of like layers, right? So those are actually, we are not seeing a lot of organizations able to cope with that, unless they are from the BFSI that I also mentioned, that they are actually very much more maturing right now in the market. So that will be some of opportunities that I would suggest for Malaysian or also Indonesian tech companies here, to help them to drive more this data-driven decision making using the big data and analytics. Yeah, I think that's more about it, Serena.
Thank you, Mavira. We have a lot of questions, but as we are running out of time, we will address this and we will email you guys on the questions and answers separately after this. I would like to thank everyone here, all the panelists and speakers for coming today to spend time with us. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, actually, next we have actually the second session, which is the Engage and Synergy Roundtable. So for those of you who have RSVP'd earlier, you can log in via the Zoom link provided in your calendar invite. Please name yourself and your company name in Zoom so that we can assign you to the correct breakout room. And Mavira will here just brief you what is the difference between Engage Room and also Synergy Roundtable. What are the differences between?
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, Serena. So I think what we are going to do after this is going to be, so we are going to have two breakout sessions, two breakout rooms, which are Synergy and also the Engage room, where for those who actually already registered. Okay, so yeah, just share that one. Okay, cool. So the breakout sessions are for registered Malaysian IT companies and Indonesian tech providers and buyers. So please check email from MDEC and IDC on the breakout sessions webinar link. It is going to be different with planners webinar link for sure. The breakout session will be moderated by IDC analysts. So I will be in the Synergy room, and my colleagues, Adrian and Gina, will be in the Engage room. So make sure that you will participate, are proactive, and listen to each other, because there will be some objective that we will be driving for these sessions. Please enjoy the session, and hope you will have a fruitful discussion. We will be starting at 10:30 Jakarta times, 11:30 Malaysian times. So please have a break for a while, and then please go to the link that we provided on the breakout sessions link, and then we will start the discussion at that times. Thank you. Over to you, Serena.
Thank you, Mabira. So we will see you in the next breakout session, everyone. I hope to see all of you there. Thank you. Bye-bye.